Hello and welcome to Buenos Aires and then number 6S layout. This has a fairly tight chicane towards the end of the lap, adds a fair bit of character to the lap actually. It's a really nice layout, this one. We've got a race today with the Mini Cooper S in the COPA-B class, just COPA-Bs. We have a full grid of 31 cars, which is the maximum this circuit will take. AI skill of 117. 120 was just pushing it too much. I was overreaching. I wasn't enjoying it, so I've knocked it back just a little bit. It allows me just a bit more breathing room. I've got an AI wet skill scaler of 1.15, medium aggression, and ×2 mistakes. The race is going to be an hour long on the custom date of the 13th of the 10th, 2024, starting at 6 o'clock in the evening. So we're going to be going in towards sort of not quite darkness this time of year that's been set, but it's going to start. We're going to need to put lights on towards the end of the race. We've got real-time progression and, most importantly, real weather. I've got no idea what's coming up. I've been really enjoying the real weather function just lately. I think I'm going to maintain doing it because it's been a really good way of mixing things up and keeping it fresh. So it's been good fun. We've got a standing start. We don't need to worry about fueling because fuel has been turned off. This is one of the experiment races I'm doing to try and find a format that works. We've got a mandatory pit stop requiring 4 tyres just to try and force a pit stop into the race because the car will do an hour on a set of tyres easy peasy. So I just wanted to have a pit stop for some reason. If it couldn't be fuel, wanted to have a pit stop for some reason. We have had a qualifying session. It was a half-hour session. I went out and it was wet. I went out, I did a lap, was fastest by not too much, but fastest by a little bit. Come back in the pits, went skip to end, and somehow 8 other cars magically found 10 seconds a lap. So we're going to start from 9th today. Not really that worried about the jump in times. It's fine. We'll be able to race at the sharp end even from 9th, I think. So we should be all good. So, without further ado, let's get trackside and let's go racing. Let's get the wipers on the go. There's not a lot of traction. There's a fair bit of water getting kicked up, but there's not a lot of traction. What are these? Can we see what tyres these guys are on? Quite make it out. I mean, I just left my setup on automatic by weather. It feels like I'm on wets to me. Alongside my brother, we've got the we've now got near identical liveries now. We're now a proper team. This feels like wets to me, but the conditions, I mean, there's enough water on the circuit you'd say you'd want wets on, but I'm seeing patches developing, like lighter coloured grey patches. I reckon, I mean, you could probably pit this lap, but I'm going to do one more, I think. I think that would be the safest thing to do. No, these guys, he's coming in. He's not though, okay. Yep. They are both coming in. Yeah, yeah, I reckon that actually might be the right call. Yeah, I think that might have been the right call. I think I might have missed a boat there. Okay, right, let's in-car menu. Let's, yeah, all four slicks. Right, let's request pit stop for the next lap. Yeah, not worried about the pit blocks being occupied at the moment. That'll be clear by the time we come round. Is he on wets? He's quite slow. He is on wets, okay. I just see the tread. Just see the tread pattern on his tyres. Oh, I don't want to push him wide. I suppose he's probably struggling more than we are. It must be much harder to drive that than it is this. Yeah, if I had to choose which car I wanted to drive, I mean it'd always be the Mini anyway, but yeah, I wouldn't choose that in these conditions. Yeah, look, you can see the dry patches appearing. I reckon we might actually end up coming out behind others. Awful. Very little grip. Yeah. Come on, come on, come on. Dear, I think I might have made a mistake here, you know. I think we should have definitely come in on the previous lap. So the lack of pit stop speed limit is a hangover from the tests I've been doing. So I wasn't ever actually intending on showing you this race. So one of the tests was to see if I can, because the Mini has to fuel twice as often as the other cars because its tank is so small. So I've been experimenting with seeing if I can make that work with a unlimited, essentially, pit limit, but it doesn't work. Need to be ultra careful here because we're on cold tyres and they'll have a lap. They'll have had a lap to get theirs up to temperature. So we're going to be a bit tentative. But we didn't lose as much as I thought we were going to lose, which is great. Shame. If I'd have known, I'd have started on slicks. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? That's the trouble, though. It's like you don't know what you don't know, and the game doesn't give you that information when you're coming into a race. You only literally have that snippet of information based on the grid lineup. You have to make a judgment call. But even so, I would say everyone's done their pit stop now. So there's a mandatory pit stop with four tyres changed. Everyone's done that now. Let's see what we can do with this now. So really, the race started a lap later, didn't it, really, let's be honest. But yeah, we're all in the same boat. Car is not happy. It's really not. It's not balanced nicely at all. I'm guessing the rear tyres have got no temperature in them at all. That's how it feels anyway. They're just not biting at all. Bit of a push there from the Fiat behind us. Just dropping back a bit, aren't we, by the looks of it? Maybe not, maybe it's just that we make our time up at the last part of the lap. The gap sort of seems to grow and shrink. Off there, Andrew. So we've got the fuel on lean. I'm surprised we've overtaken them like that on the straight, even on lean fuel. Thought he was going to shove it up the inside then. This guy's making a bit of a break for it, isn't he? Now he's on his own, he's not got other cars around him. See how it races. So no real defence there, was there? But it didn't take the widest line it could though. Dan's behind us now in third. Just a little bit late on the brake set. So we're disappointed that even on low fuel map we're that much quicker down the straights. Whether that's accurate or not, I don't know, but in terms of racing, it's a bit disappointing. But But I think we've got another race for Daniel coming up by the looks of it. See where they're strong. Make sure I give him room. Good fair racing though. Dan's into second now. Now I imagine he'll be on the high, you know, the rich fuel setting. I imagine we'll be seeing him breezing past. See if we can hang on. I think it's fair to say that the Mini's got a bit of an advantage on the other cars in this class. See how he pulls away now on the other fuel mixture. Yeah, it's a good indication as to how much the fuel mixture is worth. Even on just a small, it's a fairly short straight really. Over a car length. rear is very delicately balanced on the entry to that corner, that long right-hander there. Right, so I'm going to shift my fuel up to normal now from lean. So I don't really want to be, I don't want to be overdriving. Brakes really early then. Leave on the back of it. So Dan and I have now got almost identical liveries, just the numbers change. Because in the last video I said in my head I sort of pretend that we're teammates, so I thought, well, teammates, proper teammates would have identical liveries. So I thought we would do that. So yeah, so between Mosport and here I've done that, and I'm still tinkering with the custom AI file for Dan's car. So all the other cars, they're all as per Razor spec, but Dan and I in the custom AI file, the two mini liveries basically have got custom settings, and I've been trying to sort of pair us back. Obviously mine doesn't apply because I'm driving my livery, but if Dan was to drive it, then he would inherit my settings for my livery and his would be void. But so I've been trying to sort of tone the speed of his car back to sort of fall in line with the other cars, and it's not reliably running with them. But there are some occasions where he'll, in previous races, like test races, he's sort of dropped back in the pack, and then in this race now he's, you know, leading the way. It's very difficult to sort of get a read on what I need to look at. There's a number of things there which, you know, to play with, and I guess it's just like a car setup really. You know, you just got to sort of look at what your eyes are seeing and read it properly and interpret it and make sure you change the right thing. So I might just need to knock off his consistency value perhaps, and then maybe knock down his race pace a little bit maybe, or his race skill I think it's called. But I mean, we're not a million miles out. I mean, we've still got the red Coca-Cola Uno in the mirror behind us. You know, they're not like massively down, but I think we could knock it back just a little bit. The trouble is that I do want him running at the front, because that's generally where I enjoy racing. I don't enjoy racing for the lower positions if I can help it. tempting. But it's one of those gaps that closes very, very quickly. Didn't quite get that timing right there, did I? It's a little bit late on the second part of that. So this is normal against what I suspect is Rich. Maybe he's on normal as well then, because we're even Stevens, aren't we? Yeah, maybe he's on normal as well. Yeah, don't take out your teammate, Andy. I mean, the skies look overcast, don't they? But they don't look like they're going to drop a load of rain anytime soon. So I think we're going to be alright weather-wise. But it can change pretty quickly. Bit of a naughty pass, that bit of a block pass. It's fair, but it's just, yeah, not the nicest. Yeah, just a bit of it's a little bit late on the brakes. It's a slight mistake from me. Also mindful that I've got to get these tyres to do near enough a full hour. So I don't want to be taking too much out of them if I can help it. Trying to keep everything on the straight and narrow as well. Trying to keep the rear end from doing those little tiny sort of micro slides. Trying to erase that still. That's the thing, that with the JCW you've got the adjustable front diff, and it just makes life so much easier. You can, so that where I really struggle with this car is on the brakes and keeping the rear end stable. As you get close to the apex, it just starts just there. And if this was the JCW, I'd literally just increase the diff preload. That is all I would do, and it would be fixed in an instant. In the space of one change, problem would be solved. But I don't have that luxury with this, and I haven't yet figured out a way of doing it that doesn't sacrifice front end grip too much. And I'm just coming to the conclusion that I need to just drive around it and drive accordingly. So we seem to be pulling a gap now, which is why I didn't really fight that too hard. I didn't fight it at all, because together we are pulling a gap. Front end didn't really the front end has started to drift out then. I was a bit greedy on the throttle. I didn't quite weight the front properly and I was a bit greedy on the throttle. He leaves that door wide open, doesn't he, every lap? Lights are come on. He must mean business. Come on. Not sure if I mentioned that at the time, but just in case I didn't. So a few laps ago, when I got past Daniel previously, I knocked the fuel map back down to lean again. So and we're still on lean now. That's a bit naughty, Daniel. That's the sort of thing that if you weren't my brother or my teammate, you'd get pushed out the way there. Yeah, that was a bit naughty there. Very different lines through there, and it's the same in the JCW as well. I noticed it in my JCW race here. They take a much wider approach in, and they carry speed around like an outer sort of line, if you like. And I tend to go in tighter and hold it tight. I don't think there's anyone better than the other, really. But I personally prefer the tighter line. Keep an eye on the gap behind us if that's if we're going to race like this. Good fun though. So they're about 2/3 of this straight back. Come on, bro. Balls that up, didn't I? Too quick into that. Just ran it a little bit wide. Couldn't hang on to the apex as long as I'd liked. It's a nice exit. See if he's able to come back in time for that first corner. Looks like he's going to. Bit neater that time. Good example there of the rear of the car, just always on a knife edge when you're coming off the brake into the apex. It's just there every time. There must be a technique that I've not understood that I can adopt. I'm just going to keep driving it because I absolutely love driving this little car. It's probably my new favourite, even over the JCW. Yeah, so the AI coming across in the braking zone, that's a little bit of a concern's a bit of it's not really the right word, but if it was real life, it would be something I'd be talking to the race stewards about, because you can't be doing that. Just a little bit of contact there, but I did close the gap down, so it's fair enough. 50-50 I'd say that one. I think I had every right to close it down, but Dan also had every right to keep his nose in there as well. Yeah, if it was real life, I'd be definitely having a conversation with the stewards and the drivers' briefings, because it's just dodgy, isn't it, to do that? Can't be moving across on people in the braking zone. Optimistic. He's got it though, look. He's there. Just give him room. I mean, granted that, yeah, there's been a little bit of contact here and there, but I mean, the racing's been good, honest, fair. Very wide. Yeah, it's been really good fun racing sort of to and from, you know. I mean, yes, I could be defending a lot harder, and yes, you know, I could probably whack the fuel up and try and gap him, but I want to race, and I want to enjoy that passing, repassing, Clubman style racing. I'm not a professional, never want to be a professional. I want to basically go and have a race with my brother and my friends. Turned in far too early, had to turn out and then come back in again, have a second bite at it. So I'm trying to, I noticed when I was watching one of the replays that there's lots of, that my car tends to look a little bit sort of leery, and in my experience the cars that look like they're going slow are the ones that are going the fastest. They're the ones you've got to watch out for the most, because they're so in control of what they've got that they're not really losing speed, you know, they're not scrubbing speed off with needless sliding. And that's what I've been struggling with this car, is that needless rear end sliding. So I'm trying to focus on me and what I'm doing to try and prevent that, and just keep the car in line all the time. Don't always get it right, as you've seen in this. There's been a fair bit of it in this race as well. But the trouble is that it doesn't look exciting, it doesn't look fast. And then that kind of goes against, you know, well, why are you making a video then? You know, you're making a video of someone whose driving looks boring. But there's a skill in being able to make it look boring and still do the times. And not everyone's going to appreciate that skill. And to be completely honest, I don't even care. It's a skill that I want to get back into my driving again. Because I also enjoy it more when it's like that as well. Because you get to have races like this, where you're not on the edge all the time, and it's just, you know, you're not fighting the car's with you, and you've got full control of it. It's a much nicer way to go racing. Too relaxed there, my hand slipped on the wheel. I've only got 10 minutes to go. It's gone quick. So I think then the target's got to be, we need to make the other AI cars faster and bring Dan's pace slower. Because if I increase the pace of the AI cars, then Dan's pace will increase along with it. So I need to slow down Daniel a little bit, and I need to up the AI strength a little bit. So it's 117, I think it is. So here it probably could do with being at 120. Maybe not. Maybe not 120. I don't know if it needs to be as high as that. Maybe 118, 119, maybe. Either way, though, need to just drop Dan's AI file race skill down just a little bit. And then that should hopefully bring him towards them and them towards him and meet in the middle. It's not going to go there, is it? He's consistently wide into that corner. Hello. I was a bit rude there, but I pushed him a bit wide. He had room, but he had to use the exit curve. Brakes. So there's not a whole lot left, you know. It's like we're racing Daniel, where everything's all nice, calm and serene, but actually then when you get in the front, there's not a lot left. You can't push much harder. Stop the cutback there, that was good. Bit too fast in. Dan ran a bit wide there as well. This has been a really enjoyable race. It's been very, very relaxing. It's just been like sort of pressure free, but just enjoying racing. It's been nice to have some passing, repassing, just a little battle really. It's been good fun. Really enjoyed this one. But we're not done yet. So I've got one more lap after this one. I want to try and... I don't want to change the fuel map. I want to keep it on lean and try and win it on lean if I can. I feel the front tyres have lost a bit of grip because when I get on the throttle, I can feel the loss of traction a lot easier now than what I did earlier. Even though when I look at the tyre wear, these tyres could do hours and hours. But yeah, they have edges that they lose, and once those edges have gone, they do definitely give up a lot less grip. I reckon you could measure the rear tyre wear in days rather than minutes or hours. This is looking quite positive here. We have a good last part of the lap. I think we might stand a good chance here. A bit wide, that's not ideal. Excellent, he's not coming back from that. Brilliant. He's dropped back a bit actually. I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyable race. Very relaxing. Let's have a look at the times. Oh, my dongle's disconnected. Let's try that. There we go. I thought I heard it during the race. Right, skip cooldown lap. So we beat Dan by just under a second, but we were 15 seconds ahead of third place. So yeah, I reckon if we increase the AI from 117, I think it is now, to 119, that'll put them in the mix. But then if I do that, Dan will then be too fast, so I just need to knock him back a little bit. I think he's at 0.75 in the AI file, so I think I might, if I make him 0.72, maybe 0.73, and give that a go. Yeah, that's pretty cool though, isn't it? Lap times are nothing special, they were never going to be, we're on lean fuel. That 19.0 there, you can, but that 18.8 there is about as good as I get in terms of race pace. But generally speaking, you're hovering around 19.2s, 19.3s with the high fuel load. Sorry, with the high fuel mix. But yeah, that's really pleased. Let's get into the replay, and we'll get into the detail of it there, shall we? I'll see you in a second. I'm not really sure where to start with that race. I really enjoyed that race. It's very rare. In fact, I can't really remember a time when I've had a race where I've had an exchange of lead style race like that, with an equal car. We got it with the BMW 2002s versus the Mini, but that's not really the same. This is genuinely interesting that the same cars can produce that sort of racing. Now, the AI could be a lot more strict in its defences, but if you race it the way that it races, it actually produces really nice racing. Alright, granted, you might not want to race like that, you might want to be aggressive, you might want to go, I'm giving no quarter here, buddy. But if you just want to chill out, relax and have a nice time, and race the AI like it races, then this is the sort of racing that it produces when it's nicely matched to you and you're not overreaching. It was a really nice, relaxing race, probably the most relaxing race I think I can remember for quite some time. And I've done a few races here in the last few days before I did this race, and it was on 120 AI skill level, and it was pushing me every single lap, had to be spot on, and I was starting to not enjoy it. So it's quite amazing really that when you just knock it back a little bit, just make it just a little bit easier, you really do start to get the flow for the car better and you enjoy it more. I mean, the lap times were down to what they should have been by quite a bit, but then the conditions were mixed as well, and we were racing the whole time pretty much with Daniel, and just having a good time. It was really good fun just playing with the lead like that. Really enjoyed it, and I like the fact that it was done with the cars looking like teammates as well. I think it was a nice visual, I think, for the race. So the race itself, there's something that I wish we could see more of, and that is the weather forecast leading up to the start of the race. Because had I have known that we were on a drying track and that if I could have seen other areas of the circuit, I may well have opted to take a punt and start on slicks, and that would have saved us that really early first pit stop. We'd have still had to have stopped because of the mandatory stop, but we could have saved ourselves the trouble of using the wets in the first place. I'm sure it would have been faster. But as it turns out, we did the same as everybody else did. We had automatic by weather on the tyre selection, so in some ways it was a fairer race that it panned out the way that it did. However, in the real world, I think not just me, I think a number of people would have taken a punt on slicks to start the race on. And I don't know what Razor can do about it. I don't think there is anything really. I mean, you would need to be able to have almost like a track walk sort of style feature on there, so you can scan around the circuit, see where the puddles are and that sort of thing, and also see what weather was when in the build up to the race. And what would be nice as well is to see what the weather forecast is as well, because you got real weather but you don't know what the forecast is, so you don't know whether you're going to be expecting more rain later on in the race. So these are features I think would be really cool, especially coupled with the real weather function. That I've been really enjoying the real weather function. It's been very nice to not know what's coming up, in terms of if I've got three slots in an hour, I know the first 20 minutes are going to be that, give or take, and the middle 20 is going to be that, and then the last 20 is going to be that. Whereas with real weather, it could be anywhere in that hour, and it adds an element of you got to think on your feet, and I like that. So I've got a few things to talk about. So the custom AI file needs a little bit of tweaking. So I had the AI at 117 for this race. In hindsight, I think it probably could have been 118, maybe 119, and then that would have brought the other cars closer to us. But if I do that, then Daniel will be too fast and he'll be up the road. So I need to just modify the custom AI file, which for me only controls the two mini liveries, but in my case it controls Daniel's car, and in Daniel's case, because we share the same file, it controls my car. So I just need to adjust Daniel's car to be probably a bit more consistent and a little bit less race skill, I think. So I'm going to give that a go. I'm just going to play with that a little bit, and then hopefully that will bring Daniel closer towards the AI cars, and then the AI cars closer towards where Daniel is now, and somewhere meet in the middle would be great. And then hopefully we'll then be able to get many more cars in the mix. I wasn't intending on actually releasing this video. This is a bit of an extra really, because this is going to be done privately behind the scenes to work out these little details, and then once it was sorted and ironed out, then show you the results of those races. But at the same time, I think it's quite interesting to show you the process as well. So I'm quite happy to show you. I'm not trying to hide anything. So if I've done the race and I've recorded it, then what's the harm in getting it in the in a video format and putting it on the internet for you to watch? If you enjoy it, you can watch it. If you don't enjoy it, you switch it off. That's fine by me. I don't really mind either way. So the wet weather performance, it was quite equal in qualifying. I did get pole, so it might be a little bit in my favour. But if I increase the speed of the AI, then I think that will be that will bring that about right. So I think between wet and dry, with the wet scaler of 1.15 I had, I don't think that's a million miles away. So I'll be working on that as well at the same time as the dry weather stuff as well, just to try and balance things out nicely. So I had no fuel uses on this one. Reason being is because, as I explained in the Mosport video, if you've seen it, I'm sorry if you have seen it because I'm going to be explaining it again now. But so the Mini in this class has a 26 litre fuel tank, and all the other cars have either a 41 litre fuel tank or a 51 litre fuel tank, and all the other cars can do a full hour plus on a single tank of fuel, whereas our little Mini can only do 30 to 35 minutes at the most. So we have to stop for fuel twice as often as they do, give or take, and it just means that you can't really be competitive on a longer distance. So in an earlier race I tried to mitigate that on a suggestion from someone on the forum to remove the pit lane speed limit, effectively basically whacking it up to 200 because the car can't do that anyway. So we've basically got no speed limit to reduce the pit lane time, the overall pit lane time. But it still didn't, it was still far too much. I ended up basically having to turn the AI down to about 115, and it was basically just half an hour sprints to try and get back to the leaders at the hour point. So I had to sprint ahead at the start to get about an 8 to 10 second lead. Then I would drop back to be about 8 seconds behind, and then I had to sprint again to try and catch the leaders to the front. And it wasn't enjoyable because you weren't really racing anybody. You were just trying to catch them and pass them as quick as you possibly could. So there was no enjoyment in terms of like we had here with Daniel, where it was to and fro and you were swapping positions. It was a little bit time trially and not as much fun. So I think I'm going to end up putting the speed limit back in place because I quite like that, because it's an extra element you have to get right. If you screw that up, you're liable for a penalty. So you have to get it right, and I like that idea. I like the thought that something as simple as a pit stop is actually really, there's a lot of things going on there that you don't necessarily really consider. You often just do them. So I'm going to put that back in place, and I'm probably just going to leave fuel off, because what I've got planned coming up is more of the enduro style races with this car, maybe with a mixed grid as well, and I want to, I don't want to be on the back foot, and I don't want it to be just like 6 hours of sprinting. I want it to be six hours of playful enjoying my racing, So that's the plan. That's the end goal, which is why I'm trying to balance everything out properly. Because at the moment, the gaps are just going to get bigger and bigger between the two minis and everybody else. So I want to bring everyone together and get loads of people involved in the battle, and have it so that the tyre wear will end up being the differentiator between the cars and the competitiveness and how everything works out at the end. I think that'll be quite interesting. And although I didn't have fuel usage on here, the racing was so nice that I didn't really miss it either. I thought I would, having not, because you're basically missing something quite fairly fundamental to be thinking about on the fly. But I was enjoying the racing aspect of it so much more with this sort of racing that I didn't really miss it. It didn't take long for me to sort of forget about it and put it in the back of my mind. Right, so something on the subject of tyres. It was quite interesting. So we barely took the top off the tyres, but yet the front tyres had lost their bite at the end of the race. They'd done nearly an hour, to be fair to them. They had done nearly an hour by that point. But if you looked at the tyre wear indicator, there was virtually no wear on them at all. They were literally scrubbed in almost. So, but yet to drive, and their feeling coming back through the wheel was one of it. They just didn't quite have their bite anymore. So on the longer races, I'm going to have to factor that in. I'm definitely going to have to consider that and how I set the car up. So I'm quite interested to sort of pursue that further. I want to get into the longer races so I can do that. I don't really like doing the tyre acceleration wear thing. It feels a bit forced, a bit fake, but handy for testing this sort of thing though. So I might do it for a few test races, but for the longer races I'll keep tyre wear authentic. One thing I did notice as well is that my first attempt with this race was a date set in June, I think it was June, which is the winter time. It's got the shortest day, and the reason I was looking for that is because I was looking to start at say like 6 o'clock in the morning, finish at sort of 6 o'clock at night, and do like a 12-hour race with maybe ×2 time acceleration. But the trouble is that it was a fair bit colder, and as soon as the sun come down, when I started the race at 6 o'clock in the evening through to 7 o'clock, it finished dark, so I could probably offset it an hour back. But it was so much cooler that the rear tyres just couldn't get any temperature at all, and it made the car awful to drive. And it didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get heat in the tyres. And at that point, if you haven't got heat in the tyres, it doesn't matter what you do with the car setup, it's never going to work. There's no compensating a tyre that's not in its operating window, and all you're doing is basically coping with it, and it wasn't enjoyable for me to drive. So I moved the date to later in the year when it was just a little bit warmer, and it was just enough to get the tyres just out of the blue and just out of the turquoisey sort of colour and edging in towards sort of green. It makes a big difference. You could mitigate some of it by increasing the rear tyre pressure. That seemed to help a little bit. Obviously, because of the drop in temperature, you effectively have a lower pressure, essentially. So you increase that to try and help, but it just didn't. You just couldn't get the balance in the car and enough forces acting through the tyre to keep it warm enough to actually give you anything back. And because it's a chicken and egg thing, isn't it? You know, you gotta be able to put energy into the tyre so that it gets hot, but it won't get hot unless you get energy into the tyre, and so it just didn't work in those temperatures. I'm not giving up on it, but I'm not gonna flog a dead horse trying to make something work that I don't need to make work. If I can just change the date, then that's what I'll do. It's not the end of the world. What else have we got? Oh, that pretty much covers it. That's pretty much the whole list. So I'll just finish up with really, really pleased to have both cars looking the same. In the last race at Mosport, I said that in my head we're a team, me and my brother in the two minis. But then I thought about it. I thought, well, but we're completely different liveries. They don't even look the same. So I thought, right, I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna get them both looking like they've been prepared by the same race team with a single goal in mind, to go and operate as a team at these racetracks and just try and dominate the field. So, and I think it looks great. I really enjoyed having it, and it, as an immersion thing, it really helps. It's amazing. So I raced Daniel's 81 car in a really friendly way, really enjoyable way, and although I know that Daniel's car is never going to race me in the same way, it's not going to be as kind as what I am, and it's never going to repay me for anything that I do for it. But it still feels like you are part of a two-car team. It feels great, and if you've got the ability to make different liveries, and it's something that does interest you, I would recommend doing it, because it changes your mindset just a little bit, and it's a nice change. I've really enjoyed it, and I think they look great. I might just change something a little bit on the back, so I think I might need to make the numbers a little bit bigger on the back of the car, just so it's a little bit clearer. But little tweaks here and there, and we'll get them so that they're spot on. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to leave you there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did driving it. And if you like what you've seen, please consider liking and subscribing, the usual spiel. But until the next time, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later.